This video will show you how to replace the front outside mirror on a GMC Sierra 2500. You'll have one of these mounted to each one of your front doors. Let's get into it. To remove the door panel, let's start in this upper corner. I'm going to be using a plastic trim tool so I don't scratch the paint on the vehicle. We're just making our way in between this area. We're gently prying, starting from the top, and it should want to pull away. Now as we move towards our grab handle, we're going to have to remove the outer trim panel. You can see a clear difference here. Go ahead and separate it. I'm just going to use a flat blade screwdriver so I can make my way in between and gently start pulling it away. You don't want to damage it because we are reusing it. There we are. With that out of the way, you're going to find that you have two 10mm headed mounting bolts. There's our first mounting bolt. And the second mounting bolt. We'll take hold of the grab handle. It's going to pull away from the door. Quick inspection, set it aside. Now as you look along this area, we can see where our window and door lock switches are. We're going to carefully lift up on this panel next. Plastic trim tool, gently pry. Looking along the bottom of this, we can see several electrical connectors. Let's start disconnecting these. With that dislodged, we can continue on to removing all four of our electrical connectors. Now we have a locking tab for each of these. For this one in particular, you can see that we do have a small locking tab deep in this area. You could either try to press on it by hand, or you could use a small pick or screwdriver, whatever is easiest for you. I'm going to be using a small pocket screwdriver for this. We'll push in our locking tab and slide that out of place. A quick inspection for corrosion, of course. If you see any, it needs to be taken care of. This looks good. Let's continue on to all others. Another locking tab. Now for this end one, you're going to find that you do have a small locking tab. It's on the inboard side. I'm using my small pocket screwdriver to lightly pry this away. I don't want to cause any damage to the connector. We just want to pull it away far enough we can dislodge the electrical connector. No corrosion there. Just a quick inspection of the switch panel and we'll set this aside. We're tucking the wires inside this port. What you're going to find is that you have an electrical connector with a wiring harness, and there's a mounting point that you can see the tip of right here. Go ahead and press that down inside the door panel. I'm going to press that in and I'll show you exactly what it looks like. Behind where the inside door handle is, you're going to find that you have a small plastic trap door. We're going to remove that. I'm just using a small angled pick. Make my way in between. We should be able to separate this. A thorough inspection of that. Behind that area, you're going to find a 10mm headed mounting bolt. Let's remove that. Now inside behind this grab handle, you're going to find that you have another plastic panel that has to be dislodged, and that's going to expose two 10mm mounting bolts. Now I'm just going to be using my small pocket screwdriver for this. I'll make my way in between an area that I can gently pry. There we are. When you go to remove these bolts, just keep in mind, once you loosen them, they may fall inside the door panel. We're removing the door panel anyway, but we don't want to lose the bolts. Just have a magnet handy. There's our first bolt. Bolt number 2. Let's move towards the door lock knob next. Have it in the unlocked position. Looking in this area, we can see that we do have a square tab. I'm using my pocket screwdriver. I'm gently prying the upper portion away. That's unlocking this, and now I should be able to lift up on this knob. There's our knob. It's not damaged in any way. This looks good. Go ahead and remove the plastic panel that goes around this area. There we are. Now we can start removing the door panel from the door itself. To do this, I'm going to be using a plastic trim tool. I want to make my way in between the plastic door panel and the door, and I don't want to scratch my paint. As you make your way in between, we're going to start prying away. You're going to find that there's several plastic push clips holding this in place. Continuing on, we should be able to lift up on the door panel. We'll start pulling it away so we can gain access along the back side. Now, as we pivot the door panel, I'm looking from along the bottom here. I can see where my cable goes into my inside handle, and then we have the cable end leading down into this area. We have to dislodge the outer casing first. If you are looking at the casing, it has a connector down in this area, 2 squeezable tabs. For this, you can use some pliers or another device that can slide over each one of those tabs to gently release this. We want to be careful not to break it. There we are. Now I can pivot this through the slot on the door handle itself and remove the other portion of the cable. A thorough inspection of the cable to confirm it's still in good usable order, and we can set this panel aside. Now we can go ahead and remove our foam insulator here. Typically this will be stuck in place with some sort of adhesive. You're going to have to carefully remove this. For that, I'm just pulling away on the top and I'm tucking the wires in and behind. Now continuing on, we can start pulling this down. As you can see, it is already separating here. I'm going to continue on with a plastic razor blade. Cable out of there. Now that we have this pulled down to this area, we're going to start focusing on the mirror wiring harness. As far as the wiring harness, we do have an electrical connector. We're going to disconnect that, squeeze it on the locking tab, disconnect it. No corrosion there. Now this wire does lead behind this metal bracket. It has an attaching point directly behind this area here. You could carefully reach behind, try to pry it apart, but otherwise, go ahead and remove the entire metal bracket from this area. It's held in place with 3 10mm headed mounting bolts. Go ahead and take hold of that bracket, lift it up slightly, and pull it away from the door. So the bracket's out of the way, we can start dislodging the wiring harness now. This is one of the mounting points here, which was hidden by that metal bracket. Just go ahead and dislodge that. Up here, this should be mounted into this port here. It's already broken, that's okay. Let's continue on up to the next portion. Perfect. Inside of this area, you're going to find a foam insulator. Go ahead and remove it. With that foam insulator out of the way, looking inside here, you can see that we have 3 studs, and each one of the mounting studs has a 10mm mounting nut. The studs are attached to the mirror. The nuts will be removed. Once you remove the first mounting nut, give it a quick inspection and start it back on a couple threads. Let's continue on to the other 2. Now we're holding onto the mirror as we remove that final mounting nut. We just started on a couple threads. Remove that. We'll set the mounting nut aside. As we continue on removing the mirror from the door, keep in mind you do have that lengthy wiring harness that's also going to get removed. There it is, friend. Prior to installation of any brand new part, we want to make sure we clean and inspect our mounting area. For this, we're along the outboard side of the door. Just go ahead and wipe this down. I'm using a clean rag with some glass cleaner. We'll double check to make sure nothing's rotted and weak for the installation. Now it's time for installation of the brand new outside mirror. Of course, we want to make sure we take that wiring harness and we're sliding it through the port on the door all the way to the inboard side. On the mirror itself, we have our 3 studs. Make sure you've removed all 3 of your mounting nuts. We're going to line those up with their corresponding ports on the door itself, being extremely careful not to cause any damage to the paint on the door. Now on the inboard side, we have the area for our 3 mounting nuts. Go ahead and start them on and snug them up. Once you have the first mounting nut on there, you should be able to release the mirror. We'll continue on to the other 2. After they're all started on, we're just going to make sure they're nice and tight. This is a large mirror. You need to make sure they're tightened so the mirror does not move around as you drive down the road. The torque for all three of these mounting nuts will be 80 inch-pounds. Let's just double check each one of those mounting nuts to confirm the mirror is properly seated and everything's tight. As for the electrical wiring harness, we need to make sure it's pressed into the proper mounting points. We want to make sure it's secure. Go ahead and line it up and press it in as needed. Let's reconnect that electrical connector next. Audible click from that. We have our foam insulator. It's going to go right up in this area. This is for where the wiring harness would be. Just go ahead and line it up. We're going to tuck it right in there. Now with that connected in, it's time for our metal bracket. Let's have a quick look along the inboard side. On the top, you have a small hooked area, and as you make your way approximately halfway down, you have another area to pay attention to. This is a locating tab. The locating tab slides into this port here, and then of course the hooked area is going to go up here. We're coming up nice and high, pressing it towards the door, sliding it down. Everything should align perfectly. Continue on with all three of your 10mm headed mounting bolts. They're all started in. Let's snug them up. Now it's time for our foam insulator. As far as the foam insulator, we want to make sure that we start with our cable that leads to our outside latch. That's going to go through this lower port here. Slides right in there. Now, of course, I do also have my wiring harnesses. Those are going to go through this larger port just above that. We can see everything where it needs to be here. Continuing on, you want to make sure you reapply the insulator to the door. Now let's take hold of our inside door handle cable, and we're going to install it onto the inside door handle. As you remember during the removal process, the very end of the cable slides into this area, so I'm going to start with that. Now I can stretch the outer cable casing, and I'm going to bring it through this slot and then into the circular port, locking it in. There we are. Just double check to make sure that's secured in place. Now that we have the inside door handle cable in place, let's continue on with the rest of the door panel. We have to bring it up nice and high so the door panel fits along this channel across the top of the inside window sweep. We also want to make sure the door lock rod makes its way through the proper port as well. Just a couple of light taps across the top here. Carefully reach inside behind the door panel. We have our wiring harnesses. We want those in an area that we can gain access. After pressing it down along the top, have a quick look along the side in between the door panel and the door itself. As you remember during the removal process, there was several push tabs holding this in place. We need to make sure they're properly aligned, and then you can tap the door panel in towards the door. We're making our way all the way around. Now behind the inside door handle, let's install our mounting bolts. Get that started in there. After that, we'll continue on with our plastic protective cover. This has to go in the proper direction. You're going to find one side has a locating tab. That's going to go on this side here, over towards where the handle mounts to the door. We'll make our way up towards where the door lock is next. We have the door lock rod. You can see it sticking up through this area. Now we do have our plastic panel. That's going to slide down inside here. Press it in. We'll listen for an audible click. Now let's continue on with the door lock knob. As far as that door lock knob, we want to make sure it's in the unlocked position. You can take hold of the plastic lock and remove it. Now let's start pressing this down onto the door lock rod. We want to press it down as far as we can so we can still gain access to the area for the lock. Now we have our little lock tab here. We're lining this up and we're going to press it in as far as possible. Go ahead and test the functionality of that, and we'll leave it in the unlocked position while we continue on. Now underneath the inside grab handle here, we're going to go ahead and install each of our two mounting bolts. After you have both of those in place, install your plastic protective panel. To install each of these, I have it started on a magnet here so I don't drop it inside of the door panel. Okay, I have that one started in, but left loose. Let's continue on to the next. They're both started in. Let's go ahead and tighten them up and install our plastic panel. When installing the plastic panel, let's make sure we have it in the proper orientation. We have 2 locking tabs along the side and locating tabs along the bottom. Press it in, double check to make sure it's seated all the way across. Now, when we go to reinstall the harnesses in this area, of course we do have one mounting point. Now this has a small tab that protrudes up and out of this panel here, so I'm coming from under, and then I'm going to press it up. We can see the tab there. We'll just double check to make sure that's secured. I'm going to tuck that wiring down inside. Now let's reattach our switch panel in this area. You don't have to worry about mixing up the connectors. They only fit in one area. Just line them up, press them in, and listen for a click. Now we can take this, we're going to line it up and press it down and in position. Let's continue on with the grab handle. We'll get this aligned. We have our 2 10mm headed bolts, one for each port, one up top, one down in the bottom area here. Let's install our trim panel across this area. Make sure that's secured all the way across. Up along the top, let's get this corner piece installed. We'll line it up, press it in.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.